who we are, and did we achieve what our goals?
Yeah.
What kind of person were we? What kind of person were we to ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Or did we talk nicely to ourselves? Did we compliment ourselves? Did we have positive thoughts, or were we just negative, drilling ourselves? So we're going to talk a lot about that as well later on in the show. But we've got a great guest today. Her name is Kim Lisa Taylor, and she's a syndication attorney. And syndication is a way of buying real estate with other people's money. And if you're looking to buy real estate, if you're looking to get involved in real estate in any way, shape, or form, she is definitely the person you want to speak to from the legal standpoint, because she will show you how to do it legally. She will give you all the right ideas, make sure that you're doing it correctly, and so forth. Because you don't want to start off your business and your company and start working, and then get smacked with the SEC and get fined, and they can remove you from ever raising capital again, and so forth. So this is a really good person to have on your team when you are going out and building your company. Before we go further, I want to share November 2nd is coming up quickly. We've got 4 spaces left for the mastermind. 4 spaces left. It's only $97. If you can't afford $97, well, you know what? You can't afford not to come, because there are going to be people like Tom. There's going to be other people in the room, attorneys, CPAs, financial advisors, wealth advisors, life coaches, health coaches, entrepreneur, business people, people from the city of Boca. And we're all going to be sitting there working on your challenges and obstacles and issues that you have in your business, personal, financial life. This is the place to do it. And, we always talk about success by proximity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whoever you hang around, that's who you're going to be. So if you're hanging around successful entrepreneurs, successful people, leaders of industry, leaders of community, and there it is, you can see it right there on the screen. Where will you be in a couple of years if you start hanging around with these people, right? It's all about who you hang around.
Tool. Look at the people you're spending the most time with, the people you talk to the most, the people you're sharing ideas with. You speak to on the phone, in person. Those are the people, and you look at them, and their lives are a direct reflection of your life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And last week I was at a networking event at the Boca Resort, on top of the blue.
Yeah.
So you got the beautiful view and whatnot.
Nice.
And the people that were there were hugely successful people. They were entrepreneurs. But what a great venue to have a networking event, because the actual place is a private resort. It's a private club. You got to pay $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 to become a member of it. And then every year you got to pay. So it's a private elite resort. And guess who hangs out there?
People with money.
People with money, successful people, right?
If you're a financial planner or somebody in the industry and you belong to a club like this, you're going to make a ton of money.
Absolutely. Just go hang out at the bar, and the guy sitting or the woman sitting next to you, that they have money, because you need to have money to be in that building.
That's it.
So
the environment.
Exactly. So go where the money is, right? And if you can't go where the money is, and if you don't know where the money is, or it's too far away from you, then create events, create seminars, do luncheons, bring these people to you, because success by proximity is one of the laws of the universe.
Strongest law too.
Right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
True. If I look at the people the 5 people I hung out with the most 15 years ago, and I look at my life back then, and I look at now, and the 5 people, it's completely different. It all matches up.
And where you are as well, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. If you're hanging out with people that are always, going around and drinking and stealing and breaking shit and doing stuff like that, well, guess what? The law says just by hanging out with them, you committed the crime as well. So even the law says, right, the legal law. So you want to know. Go ahead.
They're operating at a certain vibration. Everybody has a certain vibration, and that type of vibration you adopt.
That's right.
They drag you down to that vibration.
Absolutely.
Or you can raise them up, but it's if there's more of them than you, then you'll get dragged down.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, so always know who you're hanging out with, find the people, you know, and so Kim Lisa Taylor is one of these people that she's extremely successful. She has her own book. She just came out with her own book, and we're going to talk about that. But she is a spitfire, man. She will tell it to you like it is.
Love it.
Right? She won't sugarcoat it, and she will give you, just like you, the best legal advice that she can. Right? And there's her book right there, How to Legally Raise Private Money. And I got to tell you, you're out there raising capital, and I see people posting on social media, hey, I'm doing this, hey, I'm doing that. Guess what? All that, that's not kosher.
It's not work.
That's not kosher.
Yeah.
And if you're associated with these people and the SEC comes knocking on their door, guess what? They're going to come knocking on your door. So you better be ready to take notes when Kim's on the line and we're talking to her, because she's, you know, I always say,
I'm going to be taking notes.
Absolutely. I always say, you know what? I'm going to do this business, and people like Kim are going to help me sleep good at night.
Right.
Because they're going to keep us out of jail, right? They're going to make sure that everything is done, not only us, but our investors as well.
Absolutely.
And it's your reputation, right? Because when you're building a network, you got to have the cleanest reputation, right? You cannot be tarnished or anything.
You can't shortcut this.
You can't shortcut this. Exactly. This is a place where you cannot shortcut. There are other places that you can cut corners.
Right.
This is a place where you can. So we're gonna bring her on, and we've got some things here. So we got people listening in Big Texas. What's up, Big Joe? Awesome. Thank you for listening in. Linda in Florida. Bless you. And we got Tasha in Louisiana. And what is that? Bill, Casey, baby, go Chiefs. All right, the Chiefs.
Kansas City, Mahomes. Yeah.
Mahomes is great. Mahomes is great.
Wow.
But you know who also came up good this past week?
Who?
From the Giants.
Daniel Jones.
Danny Dimes.
Danny Dimes,
baby.
Dimes guy, huh?
Danny Dimes, man. You know, he was rocking.
He's the real deal, perhaps.
Dude,
huh?
you know what? I love Manning.
Yeah.
Gave us some Super Bowls and whatnot, but he's done, you know. And the way Danny Dimes was rolling out of the pocket, running the ball, taking control.
Yeah.
Dude, awesome. I'm so excited for the Giants. I don't know if they'll win the Super Bowl. Probably not. But, you know, it's a work in progress.
In a few years.
Right. We got something here. Kimberly, you are who you surround yourself with. That's what we've been saying, Kimberly. You are who you hang around, right? It's just that's the way it is.
That's it.
But not only that, right? When you're hanging out with people and you show up to a networking event and you're hanging out with some ultra affluent person and you walk in the room with them, guess what? The respect that people give this guy, they're going to give to you just because you know this person.
You're associated with that.
Your association.
Yeah.
Right?
It's not just that, you know. So you go to a networking event like this, or you're rubbing elbows with these guys for an hour, that's not good enough. If you're going home and then you're venting and you're commiserating with lowlifes or people that are in a rut,
right?
You know, these people that are always in a funk,
mm-hmm.
right? If you're going home and associating with those people, you're still stuck in that paradigm. So you got to elevate all the time.
Absolutely. And if you haven't figured it out yet, this is where you're going to learn most about yourself in this show right here. This is where you're going to learn how to master your mind, your body, and your wallet.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's all interconnected. What you think affects your body, affects how you eat, affects you if you want to work out, affects your sleep. All that affects your mood, which will affect your wallet, your success, your mindset, all of that.
All of the techniques that they learn from you about investing are meaningless if the rest of their life is in shambles.
That's right. That's right. That's why I studied holistic medicine, holistic therapies, right? That deal with the person as a whole. And I've taken that and I brought it into my mentoring, my coaching, everything that I'm doing right now, because I do believe, just like you said, it's not just about the wallet.
No.
Right? Because I remember in my 20s...
The wallet and the soul are connected.
It's all connected, right?
Yeah.
I remember when I was in my 20s and I was living in New York City and I was rocking and I was rolling in dough and it was all about the money.
Yeah.
I lost my soul.
Yeah.
And then when my father died when I was 25, that kind of threw me for another spin.
Ooh. And
I said, well, what's it all about? What's this life all about? If I'm just going to work till I'm 65 and then die at the age of 67 like my dad did. I mean, that's not a way to do it, right?
Yeah.
And that's when I stopped working on Wall Street as at one of these big firms.
Right.
I sold all my stuff. I went to Israel. I hung out on the beach for a year. I didn't know what I was doing, and then I went traveling, and I found myself exactly where I was standing.
Mm.
If you can.
Yeah.
Get that.
Yeah.
Right? You don't really have to go to the ends of the world to find yourself.
Right.
You just have to look where you are.
Right.
Right?
I love that.
So, but at that point it kind of hit me.
Yeah.
Right? What is it all about, right? It's not just about the money. It's about living the best life. You know, I joke with my friends and we always say, you know, how many times do we live, right? We live 5, 6, 7 times. No, you only live once.
Right.
I could be reincarnated next time into a rock, into a dog. But this here will only be one time.
Yeah. What good's all the money in the world if nobody likes you? You have no friends to hang out with, and you don't do anything fun.
Right?
It's worthless.
It's worthless, man. It's and the person you become on the journey to success.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Is awesome. And this is why I've got this guy hanging out with us constantly, because he's a reminder, right?
The wise master.
The wise master. Right? He said it's all about the mind. It's all about the mind. Either you do or you don't. Don't be half-assed about anything. Dive into it, right? Give it 100%. Give it your all. But we do have to be holistic about it.
Yeah.
We do have to look at our business and as ourselves, because you know what? If I want to build a multi-million-dollar company, I can't do that if I'm going home every night and my wife and I are always yelling at each other and we're always arguing and we're always fighting and we're always cussing and we're always putting each other down, and I'm leaving the house every day in a shitty attitude. She's leaving the house in a shitty attitude, in a bad mood, and then because it starts there.
Yeah. Everything, the rest of your life, it's going to follow suit.
Right, it's going to follow, because now I'm in a pissy mood. I'm going to answer an email, a phone call, blah, 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 blah. So you really have to be holistic about it, right? You got to look at every aspect of your life and elevate everything at the same time.
Absolutely.
Right? Mind, body, wallet.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see what we got here. We got Tiff. She says, I'm almost 30 and I'm still getting rid of toxic people in my life. Tiff, I'm 49 years old. Guess what? I'm still getting toxic people out of my life. And it's funny, sometimes
they show up.
They just show up.
You can clear them out, and then they show up.
They show up.
A new person.
They
and then
come
you
back.
Got to clear them.
And sometimes even the same old toxic people just pop back into your life, right? And it's crazy. But just keep doing it. Just keep doing it. You will be all the better when you do that, when you clean house.
Yeah.
Right?
When I see a new toxic person show up in my life, I don't creak the door open for them, because then they'll push through. So,
absolutely, man.
But yeah, I mean, toxic people. I probably got rid of all the toxic people in my life. Maybe at the age of 35.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yep.
But they still pop back.
They pop back.
New ones.
They pop back.
Different faces, same people.
Same people.
Yeah.
However, you're at a different level.
I'm at a different level. I see it from a mile away.
So you can spot it. You can
squash it.
You know, you can just
done.
Right off, right?
Yeah.
I like to say that, you know what, we have to get with, you know, a rhino skin, rhinoceros skin, right?
A little bit.
Look at rhinos, man. Rhinos are vegetarians.
Mm.
They're huge. They got thick ass skin.
Yeah.
They just graze.
Yeah.
They're just chilling. They're grazing. They're eating. However, you know, if you know something about rhinos, if you put an enclosure around them, and they freak out, and then they'll just boom. They put their horns down. They'll run out and they'll just go. But also, their thick skin, nothing affects them. Birds land on them.
Yeah.
You know, all that.
They don't know.
They don't give a shit.
Yeah.
They don't care.
Yeah.
They're like, dude, I got this long horn. I got thick skin.
Yeah.
What do you want from me? Leave me alone. I want to do what I want.
I love it.
Right? So try to get a rhino skin. Try to get that thick skin, you know, and it comes with the inner peace, inner confidence, inner knowledge, knowing that I'm on the right place. I'm on the right path.
Yeah.
I'm positive, and nobody else is going to take me off of that path.
I'm on the right path. They're not on the right path. I wish them the best. God bless them. Give them blow them a kiss. Do a cross, whatever you're into. Do a prayer for them, and then wish them well.
That's right.
That's it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Heather's telling us that all you got to do is be happy with yourself. And as long as you like you, people will follow. Amen to that, Heather. Absolutely. Absolutely. So
if you build it, they will come.
If you build it, they will come. If you master yourself, if you master your mind, if you master your energy, right?
Yeah.
If you master your energy, you can do anything you want, right? We had a couple of weeks ago, we had a friend of yours, all right, maybe a mentor of yours as well, Maddie, right? She talks about manifesting. You know, you can manifest anything you want in life,
anything,
right? And the
Friends, family,
anything you want.
If you don't like your family, find a new family.
Find a new family. They're out there.
Find people that are like family.
Absolutely. You know, I'm the youngest of 4 brothers, and I'm not close with my brothers as well, my biological brothers.
Okay.
But I have brothers and sisters that I've known since I'm 14 years old, that we grew up together, that on a drop of a dime, if I just pick up the phone, it could be 3:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
And like, dude, I need you.
Yeah.
No questions. They're there. Or call them up. Hey, wire me some funds. I'm in a jam. Boom, there it is. There's no question. What are you going to do? When am I going to get the money back? These are people that have your back, and they need to know that you've got their back.
Absolutely.
Right?
It's good to have people like that.
Absolutely. So again, it's all about the people around you. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take a quick break. We're going to listen to some of our sponsors. And when we come back, we're going to talk to Kim Taylor on how you can go out and create passive income. How many of us love passive income? Do we understand what that means, passive income? Passive income means you don't have to do anything to make that money.
Yeah.
You start it once and it keeps giving and giving and giving. So she's going to talk to us about how to go about raising money so that we can go out and buy real estate so that we can make passive income and be truly financially independent. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hey, travelers. Welcome back. Nitzan Mosri, the traveling investor on W4CY Radio, the best internet radio station on planet Earth. And I got here my man, Tom Zaimes, who gives awesome advice. And we have our guest today, Kim Lisa Taylor. What's happening, Kim?
Hi.
How are you?
Happy to be here. Hey, thanks for the invitation.
Yeah, thanks for being here. I appreciate it. I know you're super busy, especially with your new book that just came out.
That's right.
Yeah. So travelers, just to give you another quick heads up, we talked about you before you came on a little bit, but I want to share with you that Kim is the founder of Syndication Attorneys, PLLC, which is a corporate securities legal practice. Kim's a nationwide practice where she helps entrepreneurs structure and fund their companies in compliance with the SEC. Ooh, the SEC, right? She's been the responsible attorney for over 300 security offerings and some of our security offerings as well, which is awesome. Okay. And you're a nationally recognized corporate securities attorney. You're an author, public speaker, and you're licensed in California and Florida. And as we mentioned just now, you just completed a book called How to Legally Raise Private Money, which is a step-by-step guide to navigating the legal, corporate, and marketing issues involved with raising capital. And there's so many people out there today that are looking to raise capital. And it's so awesome to have this kind of Bible, so to speak, right? Where we can go and we can just read it and then have it and look through it and so forth. But I know that having someone like you on the team is, well, you can't buy millions of dollars of commercial real estate without having someone like you on our team, right?
Right, that's right. Yeah, and a lot of it, like you said, is having that Bible, having that reference, having a framework so that you have the basic education and understanding that you're raising money legally, so you're not afraid to do it.
Right. So Kim, why don't you tell us, what did you do before you were an attorney?
Actually, I'm a licensed professional geologist in California. I used to be an environmental consultant.
Oh, a geologist. So you played with rocks.
I did. I did.
Nice.
And so how did you go from being a geologist, an environmental attorney?
Well, I did environmental consulting for a while as a geologist, and then I actually went to law school and became an environmental attorney for a little while, and decided that I didn't really like litigation that much. There's a lot of people fighting. Nobody's ever happy. cases drag on for years and years and years. And I really liked putting deals together a lot more than that. So I kind of shifted gears and went into real estate, which was kind of my second love.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So how long have you been doing the syndication?
I started doing this in 2008, and I've had my own practice. I actually started a practice with a partner back in 2010, and then started my own practice in 2016.
And when you say you're licensed in California and Florida, are those the only two states that you can work on these syndications?
Well, no, and the reason for that is because most of our clients are actually doing syndications under federal law. And so as long as they're doing it under federal law, we're able to help them in any state.
Oh, okay. Now, and why did you choose syndication law? Because I know there's all kinds of real estate and putting deals together.
Yeah, well, my husband and I were wanting to invest in real estate, and we went to Learning Annex way long time ago, and we met Dave Lindahl, who was at that time selling a home study course. So we bought the home study course for multifamily, thought that that's where we wanted to be. I had some prior experience when I was an environmental consultant. I had done some work with the Department of Housing and Urban Development. And then even before that, I had been a property manager of a 264-unit apartment complex.
Oh, wow.
So I had some prior real estate experience. My husband was a real estate investor. We just decided multifamily was the way to go. We bought the home study course and did nothing.
Like most people, right? Like most people.
Sat on a shelf. But like a year and a half later, I actually got on a call, and I heard Dave say he was going to be having an event, and I thought, I told my husband, we got to go. So we went, we signed up for the coaching program, we got the education, we went back again for the private money boot camp, and I met my ex-law partner there, and decided that this was really cool. I really like syndication law. I was practicing law at the time. My husband was starting up, becoming a syndicator and looking for properties. So that's just kind of how we ended up doing it.
Oh, it's amazing how life just rolls you and rolls you and rolls you, right? The river of life.
You don't know where it's going to end up, too.
No.
You might get into something else.
Right. Well, you're big into marinas, right? Or at least you were.
Well, I was doing that for a while. I actually thought that, we wanted to go into doing marina and resort investments, kind of stay away from the space that my clients were in. I didn't want to compete with them for investors. But at the time, we decided to move from California to Florida. And at that time, I kind of decided to make a choice. Did I want to really focus on the law practice, or did I want to focus on the syndication practice? And I picked the law practice, right or wrong. Yeah, it's debatable, but here's where I am.
That's great. That's great. So what drove you to write this book, How to Raise Private Money? How to legally raise private money.
Right. That's right. I started writing this book back in 2011, and I was writing a lot of articles. On our website, there's a lot of 1- and 2-page articles about different aspects of syndication, and I just thought, it'd be really great if I just put it all together in a book. But life gets in the way. I'd have these great plans. I was going to get up early in the morning, and I'd do it for a while, and I'd put it down for 6 months, and then I'd pick it up again. And that went on for a few years. And then finally I just said, no, this is the year, we're going to get it done, and just pushed it through.
Awesome. So share with us what you've got in that book.
It's a roadmap.
Mm-hmm.
It just tells you exactly what you need to do step by step if you want to start a syndication. And, all of the different steps that go into it, from deciding how you're going to set up your companies, where you're going to set them up, to how you're going to split money with investors. And then beyond that, what do you have to do to comply with securities laws? There's rules about asking people for money, what kind of qualifications people have to invest in your deals, and all that stuff. And we've got all that. I just put all that stuff in the book. It was kind of a brain dump, and I'll have to say that when I got the book and I looked at it, I'm like, that's it? That's all I got. But I've gotten a lot of good feedback. A lot of people have said they really enjoyed it and they learned a lot, and that was the point.
Well, that's great. That's great. So what's the difference between a syndication and a joint venture, or just a group of people putting their money together and buying real estate?
So in a joint venture, all of the investors must stay actively involved in generating their own profits. So they have to have more than a voting right. They actually have to participate.
Okay.
When you have a lot of people with jobs that want to invest, maybe they have self-directed IRAs or something like that, they can't do that. They want to passively invest, and so they're looking for somebody else who's going to take charge and find the deals and offer them the opportunities, oversee the property managers and all of that stuff. So that's where the syndication comes in, is when you're taking control of somebody else's money and they're relying on you to make a profit.
Oh, okay. And the syndications, I know from doing a couple, there's a lot of different qualifications, and it gets very tricky on who you can talk to, when you can talk to them, what you can say, what you can't say, right? There's a whole big thing. And now that there's this new regulation that came out that changes a lot of the issues.
Well, the original rules are still in place. There's just a new set of rules that you could choose to follow. So now you have some choices. So on the original rules, you could, this is called Regulation D, Rule 506B, be like boy, and that's the federal rule. This allows you to raise an unlimited amount of money from an unlimited number of accredited investors and up to 35 non-accredited but sophisticated investors. But you can't find them through any means of general advertising or solicitation, and they can check a box on your subscription agreement or your pre-qualification forms and certify that they can self-certify that they are accredited or sophisticated. You don't have to do a background check. Mm-hmm. The new rule that came out in 2012 actually is called Reg D, Rule 506C. And Rule 506C allows you to now advertise, but you can only allow verified accredited investors in your deal. So they have to go through a vetting process where somebody's looking at their financials to actually make sure they meet the definition of accredited. So that's the difference. But both rules are still in effect. A lot of our clients, I would say the majority of people, even according to SEC statistics, are still using Rule 506B. And that requires that before you actually make offers to people that you have a pre-existing relationship to prove that you didn't advertise.
Right, and that definition right there, a pre-existing relationship, right? From learning from you and hearing you speak about it, right? There's got to be a certain amount of time that's gone by, but it's not really noted how much time. How do we know what to do? Or who we can speak to? It's
been clarified a little bit. There's actually an article on our website called Determining Investor Suitability that kind of explains how the SEC has viewed it since about 2016. And they clarified it and said, it's not about the quantity of time you've known somebody, it's about the quality of the relationship. Do you know enough about that person to understand their financial situation and whether what you have to offer is suitable for them? And so you have to ask them questions in order to determine that. And once you get that information, now you'll know if their investment opportunities you have are suitable, you can start making offers to them.
Okay. That kind of makes sense. Right?
So if you're at the gym and some guy asks you what you do, you know how to tell him what you do?
Oh, sure.
We need permission?
Of course you can tell them what you do.
Isn't but aren't we always advertising every time we open our mouth in a sense?
Well,
right?
If you get on the intercom at the gym and you say, hey, listen up, you exercisers.
I like that.
Deal. All right. That's advertising. That's general solicitation. That's okay. Solicitation. So that wouldn't be allowed if you're doing 506B offerings. It would be allowed if you're going to do 506C offerings.
Mm.
Right. Yeah, you can, if someone comes and asks you what you're doing,
right?
What you do and whatnot, that's not you soliciting them. They're coming and soliciting you, right?
That's right.
You put an ad on Facebook saying, hey, we're accepting new investors.
Yeah, that's where it gets pretty dicey, because at that point you're actually making, you're potentially making offers to people you haven't established a pre-existing relationship with. So just to follow up, that guy at the gym that said to you, hey, what do you do? And you said, well, I do this. Unless you're going to sit there with him at the gym when you're on the, the bike or whatever, and have a conversation about his finances. Right. So, hey, how much money do you make? And, what have you ever invested in before? You're probably not going to have that level of conversation with him at a first meeting, but you could have a follow-up meeting. Say, yeah, sure. If you want to talk about it sometime, let's schedule a call and, let's talk about whether this might be something of interest to you.
Interesting. So what is the formal definition of a prior relationship? Because typically I could say, if I'm on Facebook, that we send each other friend requests.
It's actually having had that suitability conversation. You have to have the suitability conversation first, and during that suitability conversation, you're going to ask them questions about their whether they're accredited, whether they're non-accredited. If they're non-accredited, what other experience, education, or investing backgrounds do they have that might make them sophisticated? So you're going to have to ask those questions. And then you also want to ask them questions about, what kind of returns they're expecting. Make sure that they're realistic people. It's more than just financial qualification. You want to know if these people are going to be good and compatible business partners with you for a long duration, because you could hold a deal for 5 to 10 years.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thanks for clarifying that.
Yeah. You got to make sure that your investors are in the same mindset and mind frame and whatnot as we are. So let's talk about now, in the last couple of years, we just talked about relationships, right? You have to have a prior relationship and so forth and whatnot. How are these crowdfunding sites able to exist when you don't really have a prior existing relationship, right? I can go on Google and type in crowdfunding, right? And go onto a site and register and find someone's deal and throw money in there. And so how does that happen?
Well, so in 2012, the Congress, the legislators passed the Jobs Act, and the Jobs Act had several components to it. And one of the components was relaxing the standard for Regulation D Rule 506 offerings and allowing this new 506C offering that lets you advertise as long as all of the investors who invest with you are verified accredited investors. So that's how the crowdfunding sites mostly are doing it. There's some crowdfunding sites that will take the time to get to know somebody and they develop the relationship with the investor before they allow them to invest in the deal. It's a little bit of a gray area as to whether that's the way that they should be going. But, if you're doing 506C offerings, you can advertise any way you want. You can throw flyers from a plane. You can, get on the intercom at the gym. And, but you just have to have a reasonable assurance that the investors are accredited. Then that has to have been verified within 90 days of the time they make the investment.
Right. You know what I found with that offering, with just the accredited, where you can advertise and whatnot, personally, I found that to be more difficult to raise capital through, because you're advertising, you're going out there, you're looking for accredited investors, but these people don't know you, they don't have a relationship with you.
That's right.
So I found it a lot harder to raise capital this way. I would rather go the old way and have and bring in accredited and sophisticated, because I'm going into my warm network of people that know me, that trust me, that like me, that have seen my track record, right? Is that a sense of what you're getting? Oh,
absolutely. The first question that a stranger is going to ask you if you tell them about an investment opportunity is, what have you done before? So until you have a very significant track record, they're not going to be interested in talking to you. And even if you have the track record, they still want to know who they're dealing with. So do take the time, even though you might not have to develop that relationship in order to offer them an investment opportunity under 506C. If you take the time to do it, you're going to have better success in converting them into investors.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so all your book, How to Legally Raise Private Money, talks about all these different aspects and the different regulations and the regs and whatnot.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's, and, we write our legal documents in plain English, and the book is written in plain English. It's really designed to, somebody who's never done this before can pick it up off the shelf and get an idea of what they should be doing. And that's what it's all about. People that have done it a bunch of times can read this and get a deeper understanding of why they have to do certain things. And that will just, not with knowledge comes confidence. So it's going to just help their practice.
Right. And so let's talk about funds, because I know you had a couple of questions about funds. How do funds work into this aspect of syndication and so forth?
Yeah, so I'm a commercial loan broker, and I see loans all the time that lenders won't pick up. That, I'm always saying to myself, if I had an extra couple million laying around, I would lend them the money out of my pocket, right? So what I would like to do is bring in, raise some money, let's just say 10 million, right? That I would lend out. Do I have to follow these same rules? I would, the interest rate, let's just say it's a 12% interest rate, would go to the investor, and then the points charged on the file, I would take the points, and they would take all the interest, and then maybe I'd service the loan too and take a servicing fee too. So do I have to follow the same steps here?
It depends. If you're acting as a loan broker, which usually requires some kind of a mortgage brokerage license or a real estate license, if you're acting as a loan broker, then no, you don't have to follow these steps. But if you're actually physically taking custody of those funds and putting them in your company's bank account and pooling them together, and then you're making loan decisions on who gets the money, then yes, you would have to follow these rules.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'd be operating then as the lender in that situation.
That's right. And so once you set yourself up as a lender and you've pooled those funds in your entity, you've created something called a blind pool fund. And blind pool meaning that you've raised the money without having any specific investment objective in mind. Maybe you have a business plan that describes what kind of things you're looking to invest in or what kinds of things you would loan on, but you don't have anything specific. So there's different types of offerings. Specified offering means you're raising money for one specific project. Blind pool means no specific thing identified yet.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. And so you ready to go out and raise $10 million for a fund?
I am. I actually have people ready to go. It's just a matter of doing it. So.
Yeah, and it's not that hard. So, read the book or, give us a call. We'll walk you through the ropes. And, you can easily get set up and you can go out and do it. But I will say this about funds. It's the hardest way to raise money. So just like advertising to strangers is hard, so is raising money before you have a deal, because investors really like to see what they're investing in. And so you're in that same realm again that you were when you were advertising, is that, in a fund, they're going to say, what kind of track record do you have? Show us that you've done 5 or 10 deals, and then we'll be happy to invest in your fund.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went and I created fund structures with a guy up in West Palm, and he turned me on to his attorney that did the funds, and we were talking, and it was very difficult to raise capital for the fund, and for the same exact reasons that you were talking about, because what I kept coming across was people telling me, well, first of all, who's your fund manager? Well, I'm my fund manager. Well, how many funds have you managed, right? How many funds have you closed out? How many this, how many that, blah, blah. So I learned that you need strong pedigree on that management side, right?
So how'd you break through all that?
I didn't.
Okay.
I decided that it was easier to raise capital per property, specific offerings.
Gotcha.
Right, but that's on my end. Maybe on the loan side it's a little different.
No, but I could do the same thing. I got real-time loans right now that could be funded. Hey, here's what we got.
Right. Yeah. So I found that to be a little bit easier.
Yeah.
And how do with syndications, right? Let's get a little bit more complex here. With syndications, we create LLCs, we create companies that take ownership of the property, and then our investors buy shares into the company that owns the property.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
So now, let's say we bought a property, and this happens a lot, right? Where you do a syndication, you raise enough money to close on the deal, but then you're backfilling it once you've closed. You've continued to raise capital. Can 1031 money, and 1031 is a code in the IRS for those of you who really don't know, and it allows you to sell a property and exchange that money into another like-kind property, and you don't have to pay capital gains on the profit that you've made as long as you transfer all of the money into another like-kind property. Can 1031s be part of a syndication?
So yes, but it's complicated. So first of all, your syndicate that buys a property can always exchange its property for another property. So if the same group of investors says, okay, we're selling one property, let's just go up, buy another property that's more expensive, then you can do that with the same group of investors. But what the question you're asking is, can individual investors use their 1031 exchange money to invest in your company? And the answer is no, they can't invest in your company because your company's interests are considered partnership interests by the IRS, and those are specifically excluded from eligibility for 1031 exchange. If you wanted to include 1031 investors in your deal, you would actually have to use a tenant in common structure where the investors that are using their 1031s are taking direct ownership in the real estate. So instead of forming a company, they buy a piece of the company, they actually get direct title in the company, and then that creates some other complications. They have to be underwritten on the loan, you have to have a separate tenant in common agreement for them, you have to have unanimous consent on certain decisions, and things like that, all to be able to preserve their tax benefit. So unless somebody is bringing you a significant amount of money in a 1031 exchange, it's not something that you would want to do in conjunction with a syndicate. The other bad problem about it is for a syndicator, from the syndicator standpoint, you don't get the same carve out for the management team that you would in a syndicate. So in a syndicate, maybe you can carve out 20 to 40% of the earnings from that syndicate for your management team. But with a tenant in common, the money gets split at the property level. So that 1031 investor gets their cut right off the top. So let's say your syndicate was to partner with a 1031 investor. Your syndicate owns 50%. It only gets its 50% share, and your carve-outs come out of your syndicate's share.
Aha.
That sounds complicated.
It's complicated. It doesn't help you. It helps the 1031 investor. If someone's bringing you $1 million on a $3 million deal and you need the $1 million, then yeah, do it. If someone's bringing you $50,000 or $100,000 and wants to invest in your syndicate, it's not going to work for them.
Right. So we've got So
it would work if it was your own 1031 exchange.
Yeah. Okay. That's good to know. So Kim, where can we find? Where can the travelers listening on the show find your book?
It's on Amazon, so you can find it there. Just look up "How to Legally Raise Private Money." If you forget the title of the book, you can go to our website at syndicationattorneys.com. There's a tab that says "Buy the book." It'll take you to the Amazon website.
Awesome, and we see a lot of people on Facebook, on social media, blasting out, we're looking for investors, we're raising capital, this and that. What would you say to these guys? I have a canned, sometimes I get solicited through my email, and I have a canned response that I just say, just check with your syndication attorney or securities attorney, if you have one, on whether or not what you're doing is legal. And if it's not, we'd be happy to talk to you and look at it and see if what you're doing is okay. So there's always time for reform until you're caught. Right. Right. Someone told me that, social media is like people driving on a highway. Everybody speeds on a highway, but only one person gets caught. And you don't want to be that one person that gets caught by the SEC.
That's right. Or the state securities regulators. They're actually the ones that are more likely to come after you.
Although I've been pulled over with a group of speeders.
Oh, wow.
I had a cop pull over and individually point to 5 or 6 cars that were grouped together.
Well, you know, the
I
SEC every
digress.
year decides what they're going to go after this year. And, you know, you just don't want to be in that group of speeders that year.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, travelers, get a hold of Kim if you want to learn how to raise money private. And it's not just for real estate, right? It's for any type of company, business idea that you have. Raising capital is raising capital, right?
That's right.
It's not just because it's in real estate that you have to be accredited or sophisticated. Any type of raising structure that you're raising for, you're going to need to have this knowledge and this expertise on your team. And what's your website on for the syndication?
Syndicationattorneys.com.
Syndicationattorneys.com.
Simple.
Awesome. Well, Kim, you know, time flies when you're having a good time. I appreciate you. I appreciate everything you've done for us and all the help and the wisdom and the knowledge that you've got. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you so much for the invitation. It's so great to see you and good to meet you, Tom.
Yeah, nice to meet you, Kim.
All right, travelers.
Thanks for the advice.
Thank you.
Well, next week I'm going to be in Greensboro doing the show, and we've got a very successful female entrepreneur, and she's going to talk to us about success philosophies, what it takes to be a female entrepreneur and to be extremely, extremely successful. So, travelers, tune in next week, same time, different location. And I'm going to leave you with this last thing. May the road rise up to meet you. May the wind always be at your back. And may the sunshine warm upon your face and rains fall soft upon your fields. Until next week, this is the Traveling Investor, Nitzan Mosry, with my boy Tom Zaimes here. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks, Kim.
Thank
Peace
you.
out.
Bye.